Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Delphina, and I think as far as looking back to figuring out my life, I think that I always had a sense of intuition that I didn't know to trust. I think that I got a lot of feedback when I was in school that I was really intelligent, but I was always the person that had to ask why a lot, and I feel like my teachers, for the most part, wanted something simple, wanted to be able to say, well, this is why, and no more questions. So I think at one point I decided I needed to start answering a lot of my own questions, and I think I just turned 30 this year, so it's been an interesting point of looking back at my 20s and like looking back at me growing up and me entering different phases and trying to trace, why did I make certain decisions? Again, looking for the why, and I think that I spent a lot of my 20s as a complete bleeding heart. I wanted to make the world a better place, and I thought that the harder I worked or the more that I did, the more that I took on, that's what would help people. But I had to start learning that there's a balance of helping other people by helping yourself, and making sure that you're doing the healing that you need. So the journey that I'm on now is very much one of finding what helps me be a happy, healthy person, and not necessarily expecting a set answer of how that's going to then help humanity. And the good news is I think I've started to kind of accept my role as a healer. I just don't know exactly what that path looks like. So right now I'm playing the role of the observer, standing back and listening a lot to everything around me, and just trying to see what's out there. I think the other thing that I feel really called to is working with youth. I've been reading a lot and thinking a lot just about our lack of rites of passage in this society and the need to be able to help people transition into into an elderhood, into a place where we all hold this knowledge of what's happening with the earth, but we don't let it destroy us. Instead, we face it with full hearts and a belief in our intuition and a belief in our own power, especially to heal. I think that that's something that people need to take back for themselves, is the belief that, you really have what's within you is enough.
Wow, that's great. Put it together very, very well, succinctly. Did you ever feel like you didn't fit in, or were you one that fit in, but
No,
you were
definitely.
just kind of being a chameleon?
No, I mean, I'm Piscean, right? So we're supposed to be chameleons by nature. But when I was in high school, it was the first time I started really learning about the destruction of the earth, and I became kind of crazy focused on recycling and trying to put a recycling system into my high school. And I got a lot of really nasty feedback from the administration, and I think part of it is like I was very confrontational. I was an angry teenager. I'm like, why isn't anybody doing anything about this? But it's just interesting to me that the adults in my life weren't more supportive or weren't more excited about like my enthusiasm for this. And it broke my spirit a little bit. I think that was the first time that I felt kind of disappointed by humanity, and I suffered from the time I was like 15. I can remember first feeling depression, and I've had different bouts of it. One bout in particular, I had traveled in Mexico and really saw people living close to the earth and celebrating the earth, and I came back to the US and it was so jarring that I went into this very deep depression, and I kept going around saying, my heart says go back to Mexico, my heart says this, and everyone said, you need to go to a psychiatrist. So I went to one, and they did prescribe me antidepressants, and I started taking them because I was at this point just so heart sick, and heart lost a little bit, and of course, like most people, I think they made me feel really, really numb and really funny, and I ended up flushing them down the toilet, and I went home, and for the first time in a very long time, stayed with my parents for a couple months and just had this pile of books by my bed that were all spiritually focused, and kind of realized, like my heart was speaking, and that was one of the first times that I realized, wow, we need to be quiet so we can hear our hearts speak. So, yeah.
Wow. You actually, that was like hitting the nail right on the head. I believe that's what's going on for people. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.